Yes. Okay. So we are right back at it. And tonight on Friday, April 23rd, it's actually my birthday since Carly Rose put it out there. So thank you for that. But it's also very special to me because I have the Mississippi State Chair for the Libertarian Party on with us, which is the state that I live in. And we talk often, and there's a lot of growth, and there's a lot of exciting things happening. And it's going to be awesome. So let's bring her on, Vicky Rose. How are you?
Hi. Good. Happy birthday. I didn't know it was your birthday.
Thank you. Yeah. Nobody did until Kenneth exposed it in Messenger, and then it got put on the interwebs. So a little last minute thing there. I wasn't expecting that. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm moving in so many different directions right now. I have my hands in, like always, a lot of things. And right now, a couple of things that are on the burner, and I'll know more tomorrow after 9 or 10 a.m. about that. We might need a special live stream about that one. Can't talk about it right now, but it's exciting. It's
Yeah,
really
yeah. So we've been talking for the past week about this specific issue that we can't talk about quite yet, but so maybe tomorrow her and I will talk, and then we may do a breaking news live broadcast. But we'll be sure to give y'all a heads up. So, but yeah, that's exciting. I can't wait for that.
well, kind of not quite sure what to expect. So we'll see. We'll see what
Yeah,
tomorrow brings.
yeah. We'll see what tomorrow brings. So, why don't you tell everybody where you're from, or your story of where you're from?
That's a hard question to answer because, I get that question on the campaign trail. I ran for office twice, and that was where you're from. You aren't from around here, are you? Well, no, not quite. I mean, you introduced me. I'm the chair of the Libertarian Party of Mississippi, and I don't quite sound like I'm from around these parts, right? So, uh, eh, born in the Northeast. My family, my daddy worked for GSA, so he ended up getting a job in Oak Ridge, and my family spent time there for almost 10 years in a little town called Holiday Shores, Harriman, Tennessee, Oak Ridge area up in Knoxville. And then my family ended up moving to Minnesota when I was almost 10 years old. I think I was around 8. And then got married up there, and my husband is from Fargo, North Dakota, so we stayed up there for a while. Hurricane Katrina brought us to Mississippi for some volunteer work, fell in love with the state, went back to Minnesota, and eventually we ended up in West Point, Mississippi. And that's a funny story in of itself, but I'm not going to get into it. But it's an amazing story, and I know I'm home.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you fit right in down here. But it's pretty crazy everywhere you've been and all the things that you've done, pretty much everywhere. So, tell us a little bit about that, like your experiences getting started in the political realm and growing through the ranks.
I like to look at things as you can look at, the first time I got involved politically was, but there's always a catalyst to that because I don't think any human really is in this experience of, well, one day the light bulb just turned on and there I was. There's this easing in. There are many different things that happen on this path that we call life, this journey we call life, that lead us to circumstances and situations as to make decisions. And I really think for myself that it really started around 1998 when I had my first child. We decided to do a home birth, and that experience in and of itself was one of those kind of learning about your human body making choices for that versus what the government and doctors will say, and learning to be dependent, self-sufficient. And then one day when my son, after he was born, he's 22 now, of course, and I asked my midwife, so what do we do about vaccinations? And she said, you might want to look into that. I said, well, what do you mean? Right. That's just what you do. And she knew that we were a couple that like to educate ourselves and make educated decisions and choices. So she said, there's a man named Ron Paul. He's a congressman out of Texas. Just check him out. And then look up with the word vaccines too. And these are the days of AOL, Netscape, whatnot.
Right.
Not quite the BBS system or the 256K modem, really anymore, but
Right.
close enough. So yeah, so we did that, and I guess I could say that the rabbit hole goes deep, Alice.
Doesn't it? Yeah, it only takes a tiny spark to put you down that hole. That's for sure. I mean, that happened to me big time. I mean, that's where I landed, where I'm at. But I think it's interesting because Ron Paul was like the second prominent, but the most prominent figure in my molding of libertarianism. The after I kind of got into it, I found Ron Swanson on Parks and Rec, and it really shoved me in the right direction. So, but so you actually did some work with Ron Paul, like some awesome work with him.
Okay, so I mentioned the Ron Paul vaccine thing, right? So that was kind of the thing that kind of got us into looking at the sovereignty movement. Da 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 da. You can put your pendulum and allow it to swing one way over here and one way over there. You got to find that balance, and in that process, you might make some enemies, lose some friends along the way. You live and you learn. And I really hope my children don't go through the experiences we did. But Ron Paul was a kind of this figure in the back of my mind. And then in 2007, when I saw that he was running for office, I was like, for president, I was like, yes. Yeah. Oh gosh, yes, this is amazing. This is awesome. And the only connection I had to the man was his vaccine issue.
That's awesome, though.
But I got excited about him, and I ended up being the precinct captain for the Ron Paul campaign in Minnesota. We lived in a little town called St. Francis, Minnesota that had about 8,000 people. And the primary system is different in Minnesota than it is in Mississippi. And all states have their own ways of doing elections. And so I took at the time I had 5 kids. I have 8 kids altogether. Now I do today. But at the time I had 5 children. The youngest was just about a year old. And this is Minnesota. Now you're in Mississippi, so think about winter in Minnesota.
Yeah, no thanks.
Okay, there you go. So winter in Minnesota, we are knocking on doors. I am pushing the stroller around in November and December around this town. I think I dropped about 3,000 or 4,000 Slim Jims, we called them back then, Slim Jims for Ron Paul, knocked on some doors, ran out, knocked on doors, started in the next precinct. Well, Ron Paul won my precinct.
Nice.
Out of all of the candidates. And then he got second place in the other precinct. So then I was like, this works. Doing local activism works. All you have to do is be engaged and get involved and do the work. We can sit here and be keyboard warriors, but unless your feet are actually on the pavement, unless you're engaged and actively involved, you're not going to make any changes, because elections are not won on the internet. Elections are not won by you sitting, bitching, moaning, and complaining. Elections are won by you actually doing the work. Okay, so if you have a passion about something, find the group that you like and get connected with it. It doesn't even have to be a political party. Get involved and put your feet where your passion is and make a difference in this world. And that's what I did with my family. And my husband is on there saying, Ron Paul, I saw that. In 2012, when Ron Paul ran, he came to Mississippi State University and he did a speech there. He was doing a book signing, and on his Facebook page and on his website, I think even, he had these pictures up from his campaign. And he my kids all made Ron Paul t-shirts. They're homeschooled.
Nice. That's awesome.
And we had our pictures taken with them, and he put my kids' pictures. I think I had 7 kids at the time. Yeah, I had 7 kids at the time. Of them with him on there. And I said to the congressman, which child is he? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th child. My 5th child's first words were Ron Paul. Because all he did was chant Ron Paul, Ron Paul.
That's awesome. That's hilarious.
His reply, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. That's great. Hey, what more do you need?
Well, in 2000, 7. This is a really fun one. We were like, okay, we're gonna do fun things to get Ron Paul's name out. You got to do things a little differently. You're working with the candidate who is the dark horse, who's not being given the time of day on the, even though he's winning everything on the Fox News debates and winning all the online polls, he's not being given the time of day. So in Minnesota, we had an outlet mall in one of the cities, and my God, it was like the coldest day of winter. And we bundled my kids up, and we had this plan with the state organization, and some people came out, and my husband and I, we had a 20-foot trailer, enclosed trailer, and we had space heaters. We went to this parking lot set up on the Black Friday
Nice.
in an outlet shopping mall, handing out free coffee, hot cocoa, Slim Jims, talking to people. I took my kids home because it was just way too cold. I think the wind chill was almost 20 below that night. It was really freaking cold for Minnesota. And they almost burned the trailer down. There was a fire that started the trailer. And they got kicked out because, not supposed to be canvassing. But sometimes you got to go to the extremes to get that, to get behind. When you've got passion, you got to do something with it.
That's it. I mean, we just had one Tony Mono on the other night, and they pulled an illegal rally for Joe Jorgensen. I mean, you gotta make it happen. I mean, that's hilarious. I love that story. That's great.
I think we still have pictures of us. I'll have to send you some of the pictures. They're historical. Just like my kids and they're in their snowsuits, all bundled up in their with Ron Paul, holding Ron Paul signs.
Yeah. That's hilarious. That is awesome, though. I mean, that is real. That's real work. That's real boots on the ground. That's so impressive. I mean, Minnesota, 20 below. No thanks.
Yeah.
Hard pass. Ain't no way. Good Lord. What happened after you got done with that campaign?
So 2012, we moved to Mississippi 2009, I think. And my husband ended up meeting a Libertarian Party candidate running for U.S. Congress in Congressional District 1, Alan Nunley. He helped a little bit with his campaign. But 2012, we worked with the Ron Paul campaign. Now, that's a funny story. And that's about, like, the Republican Party in Mississippi. I don't know if you want to hear about that or not. But
hey, if it's interesting, then we can learn something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so Matt, we had not joined the Libertarian Party yet. Okay. And this was 2012. And, if you want to call this like adventures and like the Republican Party or something like that, there you go. Adventures in GOP land. Yeah. This is, he was the chair of the Clay County, Mississippi Republican Party. It wasn't very hard for him to get involved in there. After the 2007 election, and we saw that, the shenanigans happening with the GOP pushing Ron Paul out, it was let's work within the movement. We can make change within the movement. And we stayed, in Minnesota and still worked that way and whatnot. But in 2012, he was the chair of the GOP. It's Clay County. And he was we were on the internet. He was very publicly supportive of the Ron Paul campaign. And you, as a chair, you could endorse any candidate, or you could say he wasn't asking the rest of the members of his political affiliate to endorse or support him. This wasn't the official stance of the Clay County Republican affiliate. This was his position. We hadn't even had the primary yet. He gets a letter or a phone call or something like that from the chair of the state party and tells him, you must endorse Mitt Romney and no one else.
Oh, wow. Of course.
So he sent in his letter of resignation the next day, and we said,
Nice.
Adios. We're not even going to try to work within the Libertarian and the Republican Party anymore. They left us.
Yep.
They left us. We were trying, but they, no more. So we continued to work with other candidates, independents, Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians. It's the person, right? And
Right.
then I ended up working with the Libertarian candidate running for U.S. Congress a couple of times. And then he needed some help. He was also the state chair for many years, Danny Bedwell, for many years in the Libertarian Party, Mississippi. This time he wasn't the state chair. I don't think he was at this point in time, but he was working on the convention. It was being held in Columbus, Mississippi, which was it isn't my city, but it's next door to me. And he needed some help. So I was like, I'll help you with it. And I wasn't a member of the state party yet, but I had joined the national party in 2017. And then so as I started working on it, I joined the state party. And that convention, because of all the work that I was doing with the convention itself, and there aren't a whole lot of people in Mississippi that are ready to step up for positions to actually work, do the work as an executive committee member and do the work of the party and see it, move forward. They're like, you're doing all this work as, whatever, you just joined the party, but hey, we're going to nominate you as secretary. Okay, sure. What does that mean?
Right.
Yeah, sure. Throw it at me. So I was nominated and elected as the secretary of the state party of Mississippi in 2017. And was a couple months later, we had some issues with a variety of things that happened in the party, and very, 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 very hard things to deal with. And we had a resignation of our vice chair. And because of the way the bylaws are written, I was automatically the vice chair. And because of the way the bylaws were written, that we weren't able to appoint anybody else to the position of secretary, or was like unclear if we could or not at the time. Right. So I just kind of assumed the role of both the vice chair and the secretary of the executive committee. So I wore two hats. The following year, I was nominated and elected as an at-large delegate. The year after that, I didn't serve. Last year, I was the District 1 rep for the state congressional district. That's where our boundaries are for our executive committee. Right. And then in February of this year, at our virtual convention, I was nominated as the chair of the state party. So that's my history with the LP in Mississippi.
Yeah, that's over a long span. That's a long period of time that you've been involved and engaged, and never tiring and always pushing forward. I know I've been talking to you, and this is something I actually mentioned our conversation in a few episodes ago when people were talking about, man, how do I reach out to people? And I said, look, I've reached out to the chair of the state party of Mississippi before I started all this Cajun Libertarian stuff. Just reach out to the people, and you were sending me voice messages while you were driving, telling me how to get involved in the Libertarian Party. I mean, it's got to reach out. We need people just like this. I mean, that's incredible. I do have to ask you about this going back though, because I thought this was awesome, and I think it's absolutely a testament to everything that you've already done. I'm gonna put it up here.
Craigslist run for city council in Brooklyn Park.
Yeah. I mean, that's how dedicated. Tell us that story. I mean, that's an awesome story. I thought it was great.
We were in Minnesota, and the Ron Paul campaign had finished up. I think it was 2000. I was like 2008, so it was before we moved to Mississippi. Right. And there was just so much crap going on, progressive just crap in my city. And I could go into the stories of the stuff that they were doing. I mean, they went so far as to say that we couldn't have my husband's truck parked in our driveway because it had a sticker on it that was for his business. Even though somebody could drive their police car home or a DirecTV van home and have it parked in their driveway, he couldn't. And then they told us that we could not have a 20-foot ladder put in the backyard out of vision and out of sight, that it had to be in the garage. The the code inspector walked onto our property into the backyard to give a fine to us for that. And I just got fed up and I was like, you know, it's too late to run for city council. I know there are write-ins and I'm not going to win, but I'm just going to do a Craigslist campaign, a write-in campaign, vote for Vicky Rose for city council.
What I'm talking about. That's it. That's how libertarians are born for real. They come give me a fine for my own stuff. No, I'll run for city council on Craigslist. Beautiful.
Well, and the thing is that the guy I went to high school with, on the board was a guy that I graduated high school with. And I think he was my city council member at the time. And I was just so frustrated. Rich Gates, if you're listening to this, you're probably not. And then what else was there? Brooklyn Park. You're probably hearing about Brooklyn Park in the news.
I was going to ask you about that.
Right next door to Brooklyn Center. I went to, when the church that I grew up in, was married and etc., was in Brooklyn Center, not too far from where a lot of the riots are happening. And I on the city Brooklyn Park page, just I got notification of it, and there was, you know, people talking about buildings being boarded up. And what, buddy?
That's awesome.
No, I don't think so. Go talk to Daddy, please. Because I'm doing an interview.
Take your time.
So Brooklyn Center, and Brooklyn Park was being boarded up, and I do have a personal story, you know, relation-wise with the Brooklyn Center police, the Minneapolis Police Department. We had an employee, and we had one of our businesses in Minnesota. We were running men out of Maple Grove, which is next other side of Brooklyn Park from Brooklyn Center. And we were running about 15, 20 guys doing direct TV installations. And we taught men, we gave them new skills, and we're able to give them a job, and it paid really well at that time. And one of the men that we hired, his name was Terrace, and he was about 19 or 20 years old. He was from Minneapolis, and just an amazing young man, was working on pulling himself up and making a difference in his life compared to what his personal life experience had been. Right. Living in the hood or the ghetto and whatnot. He was teaching himself multiple foreign languages, teaching himself how to play musical instruments, just business ideas, things that he wanted to do. Right. And one day he came in to work, and he dropped, my husband's 18, 19 when he died. He dropped his keys on the desk in front of my husband, and he said, I can't do this anymore. I'm going home to kill myself. And what had happened was, and my husband did call the police, and it just, nothing worked out. But what happened was, he was in Brooklyn Center, and he was pulled over by the Minneapolis Police Department. I think they had some kind of agreement there. And the officer, I think, you know, had looked at him as thought he was somebody else, you know, one of those types of deals. And told him that he's not allowed to drive because his license was like suspended or something like that. And he told the officer he had the paperwork to prove it, that, you know, because he carried it with him because he knew that he might be questioned. And he said, well, it's not in our system that way, so you can't drive. And if you keep trying to drive and you don't turn around and go back to where you came from, you're going to be arrested for driving on a suspended license. So he's just like, every time I tried to do something, I can't get ahead. Mm-hmm. And he just couldn't take it anymore. And, you know, so when George Floyd happened, and now this thing in Brooklyn Center, it hit home really hard. Because, you know, that's probably the hardest funeral that I have ever been to in my life.
Right.
So yeah, I'm from Brooklyn Park. Well, not from, but I graduated from high school there, and I get, running for office down here. It gets, people would say about me, hey, you're not from around here. Don't vote for her. She's from the north. What does
Yeah,
it matter? I care about you. I care about your rights. I'm fighting for
exactly.
you in ways that you won't even fight for yourself. And all you can do is see where I laid my head for 12 years. And that's all that matters to you.
Yeah,
When I knock on doors and I've got women that are crying on my shoulder, wearing an ankle bracelet and they can't see their kids because we have too many laws in the state that turn these peaceful women who just might have a health condition called drug addiction,
yeah,
and we imprison them for their health condition, and then they can't see their kids. And then I've got men walking up and down the streets next to me as I'm knocking on doors saying, my record, or this happened to me and it really shouldn't have happened, and I can't get the judge to listen to me, and I've got men calling me that they're currently incarcerated. I've been
yeah.
incarcerated for 30 years and Judge Kitchens won't even see. And I don't know if you know this, but in Mississippi the judges get to decide when a person
Yeah.
will go before the parole board.
I
Why?
mean, yeah, exactly. It's crazy. We've talked about this, and I've known about this. Like in Mississippi, you can be turned down for parole even when you're eligible, just by the judge. Nothing else needed. It's crazy.
Yep.
Like, people that have been on parole for a long time, that have been eligible for a long time, and that particular judge keeps turning them down. Um, it's crazy. We have to change that, but we need the people and the help to change that.
Well, we should be voting these judges out also. But people don't pay attention to the elections and to what's really going on in the judicial races. People
That's
don't
right.
realize how important the judicial races are.
Right.
And in Mississippi, ballot access is so easy. It's so easy to get on the ballot. But we don't have good people running. But then again, you have good people like myself and others that are running, and then you have people like the Mississippi Bureau of Narcotics trying to, do stuff to get rid of you.
Yeah, I mean, it never stops for us. And I've said it before on here, Governor Tate Reeves. Man, I mean, he's done everything he could to stop Initiative 65, and so that trickles down all through that. I mean, I watched it myself. I gave him crap on his own Facebook page for it.
I haven't really personally been paying attention to the governor's involvement with 65 after it passed. Are you talking about prior to or after? Because I know prior to the passing of it that he spoke a lot about it, but I don't know that he really said much about the Supreme Court issue.
Prior to.
Okay.
Yeah, prior to. I think and you'll know more about this than I. For those of you that are paying attention to the cannabis situation here in Mississippi, what county and where are we at? Who was it that was trying to stop that and say it was unconstitutional? Was it Madison or?
It's the mayor of Madison, Mississippi, and I haven't looked to see if she has automatically won re-election. I don't know if she has a challenger in the general or not. But if she has a challenger in the general on June 8th, people need to be out knocking doors hard against her.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then there's something about, I think, her husband, and then it's kind of Mad Mary. Yeah, that's about it. Mayor Mary.
Yeah.
And something about her husband being involved in real estate. And there is speculation among pro 65 people that there might be something there that the realtors are concerned about lowering the value of real estate. And that might be why he's with it. And then the gentleman who introduced the alternative bill in case the Supreme Court, that he got some money and Trey Lamar getting money. It's absolutely crazy what's happening. Personally, I was asked many times to stump for and gather signatures for BI 65, and I never would. I was never a vocal supporter of it. I thought it was a bad amendment. But given the alternative that the legislature put forward for it, I did vote for it.
Right.
But I thought it was a horrible, horrible amendment. It gave power, to the Department of Health that the Department of Health shouldn't have had. And the Department of Health shouldn't, just in general, it has way too much power. And you're just going to give it more. And then to think that the people who funded this ballot initiative call themselves little L libertarians, and then their only reason for doing it this way was because this is the only way the citizens of Mississippi would vote for it. No, the citizens of Mississippi were not paying attention to the fact that it was associated with the Department of Health. All they saw in there was medical marijuana, and the rest of the states are doing it, and this is our opportunity to do this. He screwed it up from the beginning because, yes, he's a very smart man. He's intellectual, and he is very good with numbers. But there's a place where you have data, and then there's a place where you have a story, and there's a place where you have real life experience of humans, and data and humans and psychology don't necessarily intermingle. And the psychology of the Mississippi voter is leave us the heck alone.
Absolutely.
70% voted for medical marijuana, and it wasn't because the Department of Health was on there. No, it was because it said medical marijuana.
Absolutely.
And he messed it up from the beginning.
Was that intentional?
No, he did not. He was not intending to mess it up. His heart was in a place of, I've done the polling. I've paid for the polling. I've paid for all of the research to know how Mississippi will accept this. And this is the only way that Mississippi will accept this because of the polling that I have done.
Okay. So, is there a way we can modify that amendment once it's passed?
I like that question. Have you heard of ballot initiative 77?
No. Tell us. Tell us about it.
So David Singletary is going to love that.
I did. David Singletary has been hitting me up in Messenger for sure. I got to get with that guy. I'm so swamped. David, if you're watching, David, I'm going to get with you. I promise.
Okay. So for those of you who are watching here in Mississippi, ballot initiative 77 was authorized by the Secretary of State. If you want to know my personal opinions on it, I'm not going to give it to you right now.
Later date.
Yeah. But I'm just letting people know that there is a ballot initiative out there that does have language that decriminalizes marijuana, allows you to grow it like a tomato plant. And it also calls for reparations for those who've been incarcerated for possession without and being imprisoned for marijuana crimes without violence. Yeah. It also you're smiling so big.
I know, that's so amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah, so this is ballot. So in order for this ballot initiative to pass, it has to get the signatures, right? So I can get you the information later if you want to push it out to your people. I do have some issues with the language of it, like 65, but this one actually takes 65 to a whole nother level, and it helps the goal of 65 because what it ends up doing is it allows the opportunity for more people to consume it without the government having a requirement for any type of card, without any tracking system. It also allows for the establishment, because if it's not being monitored, what does that mean for hemp? That means that people can grow hemp without having to buy certain seeds, without having to be regulated with regard to THC levels. That means that your average family who has 1 or 2 acres in the back end there, they can make some money on 1 acre of land, you can grow 20,000 pounds of hemp product, right?
Yeah. I've been following the hemp science, and there's a new hemp group on the internet here. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. That just triggered that in my head that I boom, as soon as I saw it, I jumped on it. We're bringing hemp and growing hemp down here now. I have to circle back, Saki, to something real quick. And the reason I was smiling so big about what you were saying with 77 is my favorite, absolute 100,000,000,000% favorite part of that was did you say pardon? Like criminals that are in prison right now for nonviolent marriage, they're going to be pardoned.
Yes.
That's the right thing.
Yep. That it establishes a couple. The man who wrote it, it establishes an entity I'm not excited about, and it puts it in the state constitution. And he and I went head to toe on that a number of times, and I rewrote the initiative 3 times and resubmitted it to him, and I said, this is how it should be. But it's his thing, you know, so it is what it is.
I and you can see it right here, and Kenneth is a big deal, big volunteerist, knows a lot of people behind the scenes. That we all thank you for being a part of that right there. And we need this information that you're talking about right now. Like he says right here, we need to push this out. That's incredible. I didn't know that. That's breaking news to me.
It really is breaking news, because it was only like last week that it was officially certified that we can start gathering signatures. So it's very, very, very new. Very new.
So as soon as you get that information, get that to me in detail. You know, I don't have to tell you that. You're way ahead of me on all this stuff. It's incredible. You ought to see. You're getting a good glimpse of what we got going on in Mississippi right now. So am I. This is something that is very near and dear to me. For just alone the pardons that's life changing for thousands, right, of Mississippians.
And David Singletary has declared that he is trying to seek the nomination for governor on the Libertarian Party ticket.
No kidding. All right, well, David Singletary, we're gonna have to carve out an episode for you, my man. More breaking news. This is incredible though, because we did not talk about any of this, and my last banner here is what's the future like?
Well,
it's looking bright.
Well, there is one thing. Okay, so I am the campaign manager for a Constitution Party candidate locally. Okay, in my town, right here in my town. Funny story behind that. But anyway, so with her campaign, there has been an issue that has come up that all third parties in the state are going to benefit from. And I will know more tomorrow, but I'll just give you this one. I'll give you guys kind of a teaser here. Okay. So in Mississippi, to run for municipal office, the state law declares that you have to have a municipal executive committee, a county executive, these little tiny things. So historically, people don't run in the party affiliate that they want to, because it's too cumbersome, too burdensome. And they might run as an independent, which isn't hard. You get 50 signatures to get on the ballot as an independent. I mean, it's not hard at all. But if you're not an independent-minded person, which is somebody's like, I don't really fit in with anywhere, and you really, truly are with a party, it should be your prerogative to run on that party name. And the state shouldn't make it hard for that. No. Well, so the Libertarian Party, we had an individual who wanted to run for mayor of Pontotoc as a Libertarian, and she went to try to do it. The city clerk said, you can't, you have to run as an independent. She said, well, then I'll run as a Republican. So she ran as a Republican, and I found out about it, and I said, hey, so-and-so, I can help you get on the ballot as a Libertarian in Pontotoc to run for mayor. That would be so amazing and so great. We have such easy ballot access laws, you guys, in Mississippi. We only have 2 people running on June 8th in the entire state with 297 cities.
2 people running
5
for what?
boards of selectmen, 290 in each city, 5 members of the board of selectmen, and a mayor. No, I'm on a call.
That's all day in my house.
Close the door, please.
He's ripping off. Look, he ripped that thing off his door.
2
Okay,
toddlers.
close the door.
Side thing.
Close the door. Anyway, 297 mayors. And out of all of those, do the math. I'm not going to calculate it. I'm not a mathematician here.
Right.
2 people. 2 in the entire state. And all they have to do is say, I'm a member of the party. I qualify under the party bylaws. Put me on the ballot. And I'm not a felon. Put me on the ballot. Where are you, Mississippi Libertarians? Where are you? So she wanted to run, and I said, I can help you, please.
Yeah.
She said, I've already qualified. I'm not, no, I just don't want to deal with the headache of it. I'm just going to do it. I've already declared and running as a, she lost her primary, and there was no other party on the ballot in that city for mayor, no independents on the ballot for mayor, which means there's no general election, which means the man that one person she ran against is the mayor. And she could have run as a Libertarian. So we will be challenging the constitutionality of that state law.
Yep.
And more.
Yep.
And more, because there are a lot of state aspects of state code that influence this situation. And the only reason we're doing that is because of the campaign that I've been helping with the gal who's running as the Constitution Party candidate, the only Constitution Party candidate in the state of Mississippi. And if you would like to contribute to her campaign, we could use it.
Okay. Well, let me stop you right there, because that was going to be my next question. Let me put a link on here to tell people how they can help and support and reach out.
Well, the only thing I do is paypal.me for as far as contributions go. And I got to look that up right quick, make sure I'm giving you the right one. But it's just the Jennifer Renee for Mayor on Facebook, because she doesn't have a website. We're really doing this very organically.
Every time. So that one was easy, y'all. You heard the Facebook page, Jennifer Renee for Mayor. Very easy. I looked it up just like that. Found it right out the gate. And
it's paypal.me/Jennifer for FOR Mayor. That's all it is. paypal.me/Jennifer for Mayor. I see Kenneth saying it's unfair to punish legal citizens from being able to seek public office. Kenneth, when you guys hear the story of what Jennifer is going through, it's going to blow your mind. It's really not going to blow your mind, because it's probably going to be like, again, really?
Yeah.
When are people going to grow up?
Those aren't mutually exclusive, though. Or mutually exclusive. Sorry, I go through that all the time. It'll still shock me, just like this story. And simultaneously, I am, well, here we go again. It's incredible. It's everywhere. Almost every person I bring on here has a story like this, where it's just incredible, obvious corruption, and nobody's willing to do anything.
Right. And I want to give a shout out to her, because I think she's watching tonight. So, hi, Jen.
Yes, hi. You might be on the show tomorrow. Heads up. If we have one.
She'd probably be excited about that. No more about that. Okay, so the Future Libertarian Party in Mississippi. So where are we going? We have established a public relations committee. one of the great things that we did in the Libertarian at the convention in February was we, for a number of years, we've only had the option to be a Libertarian Party member by dues paying member. But we made the argument that, there are some people who don't necessarily like voting for party business, voting for party officers isn't a big deal to them. They just want to be able to call themselves a libertarian, big L libertarian. They might not want to get super involved, or they just want to sit on some committees and help move the effort forward and still have to be able to call themselves that label. And one of my frustrations I have is people saying I'm a libertarian and they're not part of the Libertarian Party, and they think they know the stuff, but then they start spewing things, and it really muddies the water for people who aren't in the know. And so, we propose as an amendment to our bylaws to allow for people to be non-voting delegates. So as I'm a non-voting member, I'm sorry. So there's no dues required, and that's mslp.org/join-1. And to do that means, there you go.
Yeah, that was going to be tough. I think I'm going to pass on that one. You can tell it to him again.
Okay. I'll tell you that in a minute, but it's at the mslp.org website under join. It is under or contribute, join or contribute. It's under one of those two items there. So as a non-dues paying member, you can sit on an ad hoc committee, and we have established a couple of those. We have a candidate support committee. We have a public relations committee. We have a committee for an event that we're trying to do in Tunica in the middle of July. And we also have our annual convention committee. So, and we have a membership committee. So we have 5 committees that we're looking for people to sit on and help to grow the party. It is our party's goal to grow the party by 500 members this year, state party members. And it's not very hard, with each person that's already an existing member of the Libertarian Party. We have about 100 members, recruits 2 people in the next 2 months.
Right.
We have, more than doubled our, almost gotten to our goal, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's not very hard, and we're not saying 500 all dues paying members. We want 500 members, whether that's non-dues paying or dues paying members. But we also need to make sure that we are doing the national party membership, because that determines how many delegates that we get that will help be a voice for us at the national convention in Reno next year.
Reno. Yep. And so even if, even if you're concerned about being a dues paying member, it's only like $25 a year.
$25 a year.
I mean, just join.
Well, and then even with that, our bylaws allow, if somebody makes a contribution of like $2 a month for 6 months, as long as within 6 months it adds up to $25, you're an annual paying member. So some people might be, have a couple of months where it's hard for them, and we're just, let's not be a burden to people who really want to do this. But after 6 months. And then if you're a dues paying member within 90 days of the annual convention, then you are eligible to vote in the upcoming convention.
Nice.
It might sound there's a lot of information there, but we want people to be involved. We want people, like I said at the beginning, put your feet to your passion, do the work. We need your help. We can't do this alone. And I'm the chair, and we have an amazing committee this year of dedicated individuals who are passionate, and we all have our own gifts. And as chair of the state party, as a leader of any organization, I believe it is incumbent upon the chairperson or the leader to look at all of the people that you have that are helping whatever organization that you're doing, and what is your skill set. I want to make sure. So you might be District 1, District 2 rep, but let's make sure that you are on the right seat on this bus, right? On the right. And then if you're going to divide the different committees into different buses, are you in the right seat on the right bus? Because we get burned out really fast if we're being asked to do tasks that we don't really jive with, we don't resonate with. And then you don't feel supported. So I want to support my committee members to do what they're best at. Yeah, you might be the secretary, but there's a little bit of, tasks there that you're going to have to deal with. But what are the rest of your skill sets? And let's not get burned out. We need to be able to make sure that if you need some help, come to me, say, hey, I need a break. Great. thank you for letting me know. And I'm going to plug somebody in there to take over for a little bit if I can. So I like to delegate where we can so we can be a fluid machine.
Yeah. Yep. And we're working that up for sure, because it was not that, or at least it wasn't as headed in the right direction at that speed until you got here as our chair. And so we've seen a lot of that lately. I think and that's why I keep telling everybody, we have the momentum, we have the people in the right positions to push us in the right direction. And so just get there. I mean, Kenneth has given us all the numbers breakdown. We don't need to go over that anymore. This is not uncommon. Like, Mississippi's not uncommon. It doesn't matter if you live here. Reach out to your state and get involved. It's not going to be that much different. These numbers aren't going to change that much from state to state.
And hey, if you're watching this and you want to contact me, if you've been a follower of any of my pages for a while and you don't quite know how to find somebody within your state, or you have some questions and you're not quite sure, reach out to me. Right. I'll talk to you. And like the gal that's running for the Constitution Party, she could have run as a Libertarian. Constitution Party and the Libertarian Party, they're pretty darn similar, right? And when it comes to local politics, I mean, the places where the Constitution Party and the Libertarian Party are going to differ are more on the national side. Yeah. Maybe some domestic issues, but more so on the national side. But, I said to her, Jennifer, you're not a Libertarian.
Right.
Your mindset, I know you, and your mindset fits with the Constitution Party. And if you come to me and you talk to me and you're kind of on the fence, I'll be upfront with you, and I'll be like, hey, you might want to look at this. We don't want somebody to come into a place where they don't necessarily fit just because we might be like vampires or bloodthirsty people because, it's a human body and it's somebody I can work with. No, we have to have the right people in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And we all have different journeys in life. And the beautiful thing is being able to work with other organizations where we agree and then just talk to the hand when we disagree.
That's the way we're going to move forward. We have to be that way. Exactly. And I've been calling for that unity. It's okay. We can disagree philosophically on some things. There's a few fundamentals. As long as we can move forward, I mean, we've got to do this. We need every person in lockstep for this movement. And it's being driven. It's being driven by people like you. The last few, every guest I've had on here, you guys are amazing. You've got so much information and so much talent, and I love the fact that you delegate. That's incredible. That's what you got to do. That's what we need, a person in place to point those things out and point us in the right direction. And I'm reading them too. I don't think we have that, right?
Actually, it's going to be the weekend of July 9th.
We do have that. That's also breaking news to me. So I will be there, barring some weird exception. I actually live closer to Tunica. Well, I live about the same. You might live a little bit closer to me.
I think it's about 2 to 3 hours.
Yes, about that. I drive that all the time. So when is the Tunica event? I have a free rooms at Gold Strike. Might need to use them.
Yes. You might, because we already have Spike has already mentioned that he is very much interested in partying with us. And this isn't, you guys, this isn't a convention. This isn't party business. This is like being libertarians. Yeah. And we're going to do whatever we can. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Kenneth. And when it comes to being a leader, it's people like you who say thank you and are appreciative and recognize the things that we do, because it's like it gives us the opportunity to take a breath and breathe that in and be like, someone's recognizing me. Okay, I can keep going on. I'm not just doing this and spinning my wheels or just doing it and nobody's thankful for it. That's where burnout, usually comes from, not being appreciated, aside from just doing too much. But usually when you're appreciated, people come alongside of you to support you and help you in it. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah. But if you know, if you guys are in the Southeast region, it's going to be the weekend after July. July 4th is on a Sunday. And it's going to be at the Horseshoe Casino and Hotel in Tunica, Resort Casino and Hotel in Tunica. The contract rate for the rooms for our block, I think, is $179 a night. And ticket prices have not been released yet because we still have a little bit of stuff to do with that. But that much I can tell you.
And look, if you're in Georgia, Alabama, or Tennessee, and you're right there by that Mississippi border, it's only a hop, skip, and a jump away to get to Tunica.
Louisiana, Arkansas, and Oklahoma aren't too far either.
Yeah, they're really not. Good call. Yeah, not bad at all. So looking forward to that big time. I actually said something to I commented on Spike's post and said I'll see you in Unica or Tunica. Sorry, I said Unica. Tunica. I've been there a bunch of times. Yeah. So Louisiana, Arkansas.
Louisiana. Matt, you didn't spell that one right.
No, not at all. Double N.
Well, he put the I in the wrong spot. Anthony Peebles has been there many times.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's fantastic. So what we'll do is we may have something for tomorrow. At the very least, we'll have Vicky on again before we have the Tunica event, and hopefully before then. I think we're gonna have something tomorrow. Hopefully, I think it's gonna be a good deal, and y'all are gonna enjoy it. It's gonna be savory for third parties. I promise you.
I will email you the brief that we've got going for tomorrow, so you can get a thing on it.
Nice.
Nulk, where you're too far away.
That's Eskimo Libertarian. She's in Alaska.
She's in Alaska. Oh, but you know what? Okay, so like Allegiant Airlines out of Fargo is flying into Memphis. Is it Memphis or Nashville? I can't remember. For like $40, $50.
I've only flown into Memphis and it's real cheap.
And Memphis is like not even an hour from Tunica.
Yeah.
Not even.
Right there.
Yeah.
I'm in Memphis once a month or so, once every other month. Yeah, where can 3,500 or so libertarians come party in Alaska? That's a question for you, Eskimo.
I'm sure there's plenty of mountains.
Plenty. Well, Vicky, thank you very much. This was incredible. I had a lot of fun, and wow, you gave me information that I didn't know, like very, very awesome information. I can't wait to do everything I can to put my full weight behind 77, and then hopefully tomorrow works out as well. And you're a great inspiration. Thank you so much, Vicky.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. Won't be long. Stick around. All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right. I mean, that was an awesome story. I got to not a story. That's facts. That's hardcore facts coming straight from Mississippi. State Chair Vicky Rose. Big things happening here. Big things happening everywhere. You've seen it over the last few weeks. I mean, we've got the people in the right places, and this is incredible. We've got all the things projected in the correct direction and moving in that direction as well. And so get involved. Like Kenneth posted up there, $25 to join the state, $50 to join both national, federal, or national, state. Sorry. Doesn't matter. Get involved. Do what you got to do. Ask me. Reach out to Vicky. Reach out to Kenneth. I guarantee you Kenneth would be more than happy to help you out. Reach out to somebody. We're all here ready to go. We're ready to roll. Thank you. Awesome show. Loved having you. It's been great. I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. You know, I'm going to give you the next promo very, very, very soon. So, Kenneth, he's going to badger me up. So, I'm going to post a graphic, the one that I had at the start of the show on at the end when I go off here, where you can follow me and support me: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook page, and YouTube. And we have also created a PayPal. So if you like what you see and you want to help donate, whatever you want to do, that's fine. That's great. We'll keep getting everything better. We all need the help. I got a lot of people that help me, and I think I've said that a bunch of times. And so if you want to help us out, there you go, right there, the Cajun Libertarian one on PayPal. Thank y'all very much. Love y'all. I will see you very soon.